What's up guys, Tom here from Metalloud and welcome to another Throwback Thursday review. This time we're taking a look at Asking Alexandria's 2011 album, Reckless and Relentless. So this album, Reckless and Relentless from Asking Alexandria, is one that I really never gave a chance when it actually came out back in 2011 because I sort of dismissed the band generally as just being generic metalcore, something that we've really all heard before, nothing special, nothing great, and there was no point really for me to check it out because I honestly didn't think that I would find anything that I like, and I gave, a few songs that they released just a quick listen and ended up skipping through most of them because I was just bored by them. But going back to it, I think actually giving it a chance, I've kind of come around to this album, and it's really catchy and kind of really addicting after a while. This album starts off with a fairly heavy intro track called Welcome, and it features all the staples of the genre that we've come to expect. Things like the layered heavy screaming with, it almost sounds like there's two people there when it's just Danny Worsnop doing his thing, the chugging guitar riffs, and the intro track, it kind of gets you into it. It's heavy. It's what you'd expect. If you're fans of the genre, it's something that's going to get your attention. And then it opens up to a song called Dear Insanity, and that's actually a song I really like just because it actually shows that this band has some talent, and it is a little bit different than things that their counterparts within the genre are doing. It's got this really awesome guitar riff going throughout that shows some of the talent of their guitarist Ben Bruce. It has this pretty pulsing bass line throughout. You really feel it. It's heavy. And then the vocal work throughout from Danny Worsnop is pretty varied within this one song. He's screaming, he's growling, he's got these clean vocals, he's got these vocals that aren't so clean, where they're kind of in between everything. And that's something I really like about Danny Worsnop, is he really knows how to sing a hook, but at the same time he can really get these intense deep screams as well, and it's something that kind of keeps his vocal work interesting to me, and one of the reasons I like him as a vocalist, especially on this album in particular. The rest of the album kind of ranges from being fairly generic, but still very well done, as far as, it's not treading any new ground or anything like that, but, it's still doing it very well. Songs like Breathless, for instance, which really exemplifies the genre and what metalcore can really be. It's really catchy, but at the same time it's still very heavy, and that's something that's very well done by this band. Then you have songs like Another Bottle Down, which again is another one that's really kind of catchy, but it's more kind of got this rock vibe to it, and it's something I really liked. It's a little bit different. It just doesn't feel anything generic, and that's part of why it's so catchy as a song. And in between all that, we get this ballady track called Someone Somewhere, which for that kind of supposed to be slower, emotional ballad, arena rock, whatever you want to call it, track, Someone Somewhere actually really works well. I liked it. It's fun to listen to. It doesn't really get too sappy or too cheesy or anything like that, and that's definitely something it's missing in a lot of bands who feel that they need to put one of those tracks on their albums, because they're so heavy that they have to break it up somehow with it, even if they feel like they really want to. It feels like a lot of them feel they're forcing it, and Someone Somewhere actually doesn't feel forced, and that's something I really like it, and I definitely give the band props for doing that. The only unfortunate thing is some of the songs on here really feel like we've been there before. They do end up feeling like they're just in the crowd, stuff that we've heard from other bands, not really anything interesting. What does kind of elevate a lot of these songs and save them from being bad songs and, rises above a little bit is actually Danny Worsnop's vocal delivery and the way that he does everything, which is really, I think he honestly has, had one of the best voices in the industry, particularly on this album where he was completely into this music. And he really has a broad range, unlike a lot of his counterparts. For instance, Ali Sykes, whose voice has improved, but we're talking 2011, whose clean vocals were not so great, and even his screaming was kind of generic. He didn't really have these great transitions, where Standing or Stop really does well. He has this, he's not just a screamer, he's not just a clean vocalist, he's not just a growler. He really kind of has this range, very flexible within songs, and it's definitely something interesting that keeps these songs feeling a little bit fresh and saves most of them from being stale, where the music behind it maybe is not so great, maybe is, again, just boring things that we've seen before, but it really saves a lot of these songs. For instance, the song Closure, it's really fun to hear his voice on that song, because he really demonstrates what he can do just within the bounds of that song alone. And that's the thing, on this album, there's really nothing that goes outside the genre. There's nothing that is progressive, but it's done so well. It's really done to the peak of their ability, and even with these chugging riffs and generic drum beats, things like that, they all feel cohesive to the band and to the songs themselves and to the album. And on top of that, there are a lot of songs and a lot of their style and sound that sound like it was influenced by classic rock or classic metal, and you really get a feel of that, at least behind the more modern style of metalcore. And that's something that at least kind of keeps this album interesting, and one of the reasons why it is so catchy and why it sticks with you over time, and it's one of the reasons why I've liked it so much. And yeah, okay, it's a bit corny at times, a bit cheesy, so that's metalcore, that's what it is often, but it really never feels like it's kind of wasting its efforts. It never feels like it's just pissing into the breeze or anything like that. And that pretty much is why I would say, at this point, Reckless and Relentless is one of my favorite metalcore albums of the last 5 years.